For this next setup, we're gonna use this foam roller here. I'm gonna take this dumbbell from this staggered setup and I'm gonna load down into my left hip, but I'm trying to pivot into this hip, adding rotation, really challenging these external rotators of my left leg. And then as I go up, I'm driving my hip forward. So I'm sliding back, pressing my knee into this pad, getting my adductors involved, loading the external rotators here of this left hip, driving up, but I'm actively cueing my foot down to the ground, really trying to establish that good connection from my foot up to my hip.
And squeezing left glute at the top?
Yep, squeezing left glute at the top. I'm not trying to feel this in my lower back, really trying to emphasize what's going on with my hip as I load down into this pattern, rotational, driving in to the foam roller, driving into the pad.
How hard are you driving on the foam roller?
I'm actively pushing pretty hard.
Okay.
So good weight in your feet. Yep, left big toes driving down into the ground, really thinking about keeping this pelvis where it's at. And then, yep, pivoting in, feeding into that hip, driving up. Good, now let's add that dumbbell. So loading our mobility with a progressive stimulus that we can add resistance to, loading across that hip, driving that left hip through. Loading across, pushing into the foam roller, getting the adductors involved, and then loading those external rotators as we dive into that hip, loading that rotation, driving back up, standing nice and tall. 2 more. Loading across, pushing into that foam roller, driving up. So we got adductors involved, so we got our adductors involved, internal rotators with the adductors involved, external rotators as you're loading into that hip. Where are you feeling this at?
Definitely high in my glute, the adductors when I press in there, but I can feel the instability if I forget to apply the pressure and I'm kind of just going for the stability aspect and I come off it a little bit, I can feel my whole leg start to kind of give free.
Where do you feel the weight at in your foot because you're driving into the foam roller?
Really right across the top of my foot, but a lot of pressure right there, trying to drive in. I'm trying to keep my whole foot on the ground, but I can feel a little bit of instability as I go to press. And I don't know if that's, even need to bring my foot out more in alignment. I'm a little bit underneath.
Yep.
I got my knee to the outside, only because I feel like I can get more pressure into it. Maybe if I walk my foot out a little bit more. Yeah, if I do it then, it kind of shifts my weight.
Yep, so you have that first metatarsal planted on the ground, but you're still creating a good arch of the foot as you go down because you're driving the big toe, creating that tripod, that good connection from the foot up to the hip.
Yep.
Let's get a couple more reps.
I keep everything in alignment. I feel like I can keep it more on the whole foot. Dude, it smokes your glute out there for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So I really like this for hip mobility. We're providing a progressive stimulus for loading that tissue, loading that rotation from a closed chain movement of having that foot fixated on the ground, good connection up to the hip. He's driving that foam roller into the pad, reaching across, really not trying to reach too much that he's involving his lower back, but sliding back into that hinge as much as he can, driving his hips forward as he finishes through the top. Really think about feeding into that hip, DJ. This is great for getting involvement with our adductors, internal rotators, loading the external rotators, that left glute. DJ even said himself, man, I really feel like my glutes are on fire here.
Dude, that is such a good move. You get so many guys, we go on a yard line, we do a lot of physical cues. Flex your right glute, flex your left glute. And a lot of people, they don't know how to do it. They've never been able to isolate it. That is such a good way. I mean, if you don't know how to flex your glute after that, you'll never be able to figure it out.
Yeah.
That's great. Wish we would have done legs today.
Yeah. Give that one a try to improve on your hip mobility, progressive stimulus. We got a 45-pound dumbbell here-ish and 20 kilograms. Sorry, we're not good. We haven't figured out the math too completely yet. But providing a progressive stimulus to our mobility training so that we can progressively improve and load that tissue even further. That's the secret. Mobility training is just flowing around on the ground, but it's loading that tissue to have lasting adaptations.
Love it, dude. Give it a shot, fellas. Let us know how you're doing.